Yeah, hi once again. Good morning, everyone. And I'm very much excited. In fact, Trustee is very much happy to host this next 1.5 hour with you all, with diverse personalities, having expertise from various backgrounds. So, on behalf of Trustee Sustainability Foundation, I'm Anika Kumari, and I would like to welcome you all to this webinar on prevention of deforestation. So before I start, I would like to take the audience through the agenda for today's webinar. So just let me share my screen. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, we can see.
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll start with Trustee's role on how Trustee program is, what Trustee is doing towards prevention of deforestation. So it will be, the presentation will be by Mr. Rajesh Bhuyan, the Director of Trustee Sustainability Foundation. And then we have the dignitaries speaking on the role of how they have contributed, how their organization have contributed towards prevention of deforestation. So we have line of speakers, and you can see on the screen we have Dr. B. Radhakrishnan, who is a consultant T division from Harrison Malayalam Limited, and he is also a former director Upasi TRI. Mr. Dalaram Gulia, who is a procurement lead sustainability South Asia, who is from Hindustan Unilever Limited. We have Dr. Manjunathan, who is a IFS. Again, he is the managing director, Tamil Nadu Tea Plantation. We have Mr. Swapan Mehra, who is founder and CEO, IORA Ecological Solution. So moving on, I would some quick guidelines. I request everyone to turn on their camera if you're comfortable, so that we can facilitate this in this interaction face to face. And also, if you can change your name to your display name to your name, reflecting your name properly. If possible, add your organization as well, so that we can take the attendance. There will be a question answer session after every speaker speak. You're free to raise your hand. You can unmute yourself, and in fact, you can put your questions in the chat box. And finally, this webinar will be recorded and we'll be uploading this on our Trustee website, which is www.trustee.org. So there's always a good way to start is always giving a brief background about the organization that I belong to. Although you all are, most of you are aware about Trustee program. Nevertheless, I'm delighted to share the brief about Trustee. We started our journey 9 years back in 2013, and Trustee is a voluntary sustainable standard which focuses on environment, safety, and livelihood, these are our pillars, the strength of our program. The program is currently working with small tea growers, bottle factories, states, and tea retailers to address issues such as prevention of biodiversity, working conditions, health and safety of tea workers, gender issues, statutory benefits, etc. The Trustee today has verified over 60% of total Indian produced tea that contributes to. We have certified over 810 million kgs of tea, and we have benefited over 6.5 lakh workers and over 90,000 small tea growers. So what we are expecting out of today's webinar, we will learn about the various aspects of deforestation, the challenges that are associated with it, what are the importance of balancing between development and environment, and so on. So I think you all are geared up. So let's get started. I would like to invite Trustee's Director, Mr. Rajesh Bhuyan, to apprise the audience on the role of Trustee program toward prevention of deforestation. Sir, floor is all yours.
Thank you, Anika. And hello and good morning and welcome once again to all of you for joining this webinar on a very crucial topic. We have a great lineup of speakers, guest speakers will talk about the topic. I can see a raised hand. Mr. S.R. Chaudhary has raised his hand. Mr. Chaudhary, is there anything you'd like to say? Yes, please. Okay, there is a problem with your audio, Mr. Chaudhary.
You have to unmute yourself, Mr. Chaudhary. Maybe by mistake he has raised his hand, I think.
All right. I would like to speak about the role of trustee in towards prevention of deforestation, and it is a very important topic for us, and I will take you briefly through our role in prevention of deforestation. So, sorry. So we know that many tea gardens and tea producing units are situated very near, or in fact, in a few cases, even within unique biodiversity zones. And such landscapes in India are often mega diverse and sometimes quite fragile. And I have visited quite a few of them, and most of you must be familiar with such regions. And in most cases, the land and habitat of the flora and fauna of the native species in these regions requires special attention and protocol. So going beyond good agriculture practices, we need to have special efforts and programs in place to make sure that tea plantation is in harmony with the community and the environment. Now, as a sustainability program, Trustee places special emphasis on environmental management and preservation of biodiversity. And that is one of the reasons why we wanted to have this webinar with the key stakeholders and hear from the experts, because that's a very important topic for us and all our partners. In our work to address environment conservation initiatives, the trustee verified units are encouraged to create and implement what we call a holistic biodiversity action plan. Now, this is a very critical cornerstone of the work that we do. So the biodiversity action plan encompasses all natural resources that the organization is having interaction with. And it includes steps that they might have been taking into steps that they would like to create to ensure the preservation, conservation, and the enhancement of the biodiversity. Now, such plans, of course, should be based on local biodiversity situation and studies, so that we can identify and protect threatened and endangered species that use the farm. So this is, in brief, our approach to preservation of biodiversity. Now, deforestation, non-deforestation is one of the very critical components of the work that we think is important for preservation of the environment and biodiversity. And we would like, as a sustainable standard, make the right contribution to foment the right actions for this. Now, the trustee code has very specific requirements on deforestation. Those of you who are familiar with the code and the program would know that. But to reiterate, the trustee code clearly states that there shall be no degradation and deforestation of the notified forest land or any form of encroachment in the forest land. And we have a very well-defined cutoff year to take care of this. And this is the cornerstone of what we call a mandate on non-deforestation. So this requirement is what we call a zero tolerance category. So a zero tolerance category requirement in the trustee program implies that no tea producing entity, whether it's an estate or a small tea grower, can be a part of the program if they are found to have violated this critical stipulation. Further, if someone is already verified and then we find to have this organization to have had any non-compliance, it does lead to immediate decertification. So a trustee verified entity should follow all the protocols to ensure notified forest land is not degraded by their activities. And they are also actively encouraged to grow and maintain native and indigenous species of vegetation and shade trees. In fact, unused land, we encourage them to let it live and let nature take its own course in course of unused land or water bodies within the plantations. But the program just does not stop at creating the mandate, because a mandate is just a statement of intent. But the philosophy and the spirit of the program is to work with people to create on the ground the positive impact of this mandate. So what we do is that we go the extra step to ensure on ground adherence. Now, how do we do that? Enrollment to the trustee program, even before the formal certification, it ensures that all TSCs and SDGs and factories have access to formal training practices, opportunities on sustainable practices focused on our 3 key pillars of environment, safety, and livelihood. And this is not just training, but we also help to set up the systems, processes, plans to achieve the goals. So it's not, our work doesn't end at training. Our work on behalf of the program, and it is a service that we provide free to all the trustee members, that we help them to set up the processes, practices, the action plans, and verifying that the plans are successful on the key pillars. And of course, deforestation is one of the key components of our focus on environment and biodiversity. Now, this on-site training is actually is a long-term handholding and is provided by the trustee MPanel implementation partners. We are very reputed organizations who have consultants on ground in all the key tea growing areas who are at hand to help our members to make progress on our deforestation and environment mandates. Now, once these systems are in place, this progress is assessed by independent third-party audits. So these third-party audits take place at the time of entry to the program, as well as a defined 2-year interval. So we not only set up the process, we also check the continual improvement and what are the issues that they're facing and how they're able to ensure compliance to their long-term biodiversity goals and deforestation efforts. Now, we know today that setting up a system also needs a very critical component for success, and that is monitoring and evaluation. So for monitoring and evaluation of the processes that we set up, one of the key components is technology. Now, we believe that traceability and digital technology and tools can play a very critical role in looking at the source of the produce, so that we can find its interface with forests and how they might have had a positive or a negative impact with the forest and their role in any possible deforestation that might have taken place. So we are rolling out actively initiatives on traceability and digital tools, and this will strengthen our non-deforestation mandate, give confidence and transparency. So it will give confidence to the stakeholders. It will bring in transparency in looking at the prevention aspect, as well as tracking of the affirmative and positive steps that we are taking to tackle deforestation. So one of these is the mandatory traceability paper trail. So trustees proprietary digital app and web-based solution works in conjunction with a paper trail. Now, what is this app? This app is a digital application which helps to digitize the supply chain routes by which the green leaf reaches the factory and exits the factory. So it helps us to link our supplies to the source of the produce, the green leaf produce. Now we are also launching a very ambitious project to collect the geolocational data of the trustee affiliated small tea growers. Now this is a multidimensional impact. This geo data will help us to bring benefits of satellite based technology and services to the small tea growers. At the same time, we will be able to do a GIS mapping of the supply chain, and this GIS mapping will help to correlate the tea producing areas with the forest map of India across the years. So that's an ambitious project. This project is, I'm happy to report, about 60% through, and we are hopeful of getting the first cut studies for our own review very soon, maybe by the end of this year. But this is something that we are looking at as a part of the program's review of the impact on the forest. Now, the trustee assessment system works through an enterprise resource program called TCMS, the Trustee Code Management System. Now, this is an online customer software. So it creates a credible and transparent database to review the assessment data and the claims that we make. So as I said, monitoring and evaluation is very important when we speak of having an impact on aspects like deforestation. Now, to have very credible and transparent monitoring and evaluation, we have created this online customized software. So this creates specific data points for us to review the progress. Now, one of the positive impacts of verified impact points, we can see in 2021, we have 9.28 hectares of verified deforestation, and this was verified to third-party assessments and recorded through our TCMS system. So this is in brief what we do to assure the prevention of deforestation, helping entities and our partners to proceed with a holistic biodiversity plan and bringing technology tools to their doorstep. All these technology tools are available on our behalf to our members to use and get the benefit of. So Trustee, being a part of the Trustee program, provides this free access to all these technology tools which are custom built, and it is a unique thing in the tea sphere in India that we have custom built these applications and software programs to help transparency and to track progress. So this is our role. We believe that tea production should be carried out in harmony and in a balance with the environment and the community, and we will continue to work towards this. And this webinar is one of our efforts to create a holistic impact on all our partners towards this. So with this, I will end my introduction. Thank you for your patient hearing. I'll be happy to answer your questions. If not, I will hand over to Anika to carry on to the next segment of this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for enlightening the audience and updating on Trustee's initiative with respect to environment and deforestation. Yes, the program does not just stop at creating the mandate, but we go extra miles to ensure on-ground adherence by providing formal training, hand-holding. Yes, so we have been taking various initiatives with respect to environment, safety, and livelihoods. Now we come to another section, which is an interesting section of the webinar, and we all have been waiting to hear from our eminent speakers. During the when I shared the agenda, I have taken you through the line of speakers that we have today. So we'll start with our first speaker, who is Dr. B. Radhakrishnan. P. Radhakrishnan started his career in entomology division of Upasi Tea Research Institute in 1983. He has over 37 years of research and advisory experience in Upasi again. He was member of editorial board of Indian Society for Plantation Crops. He served as an assistant director, then joint director and director of Upasi TRF. His pioneering work on pest management, organic tea, and pesticide residues are widely adopted by the tea industry. And this won't be, I mean, this would be really surprising for all of us that he has more than 350 publications and 7 books to his credit. He is a member of different committees of Tea Board. He is a fellow of Indian Society for Plantation Crops, specialized in entomology. His area of research are ongoing farming, sustainable agriculture, and IPM. He has been instrumental in getting GI certification for Nilgiris orthodox tea. Requesting sir to kindly address the gathering. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Can you please share the PowerPoint?
Yeah, I'll do that. Sir, will it be possible to share from your end, sir?
1 minute, 1 minute.
You'll have to click on that first. Yes, sir.
Can you please share? I'm finding it.
Yeah. So I have. So I'll just share.
Please.
Yeah.
I'm finding it difficult.
Sure. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can. Yeah, just make screen. Yeah, good.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank Trustee for inviting me to participate in this webinar and present my views on prevention of deforestation.
Can I request all the participants to mute while the speaker is speaking?
Because it's echoing. Then I also thank my executive, I think Chief Executive Officer and whole-time Director, Mr. Cherian George, for permitting me to present my views on deforestation. Can I go to the next slide?
Yeah.
See, this one, just to show the rainfall pattern and the elevation and then the soil classification of South India. We are going tea in around 1,09,000 hectares. And then in different zones, different tea districts, we have totally 6 different tea districts, which vary in their weather and environmental conditions and then elevation. These things are, providing a suitable environment for flora and fauna and growing all quality and high yielding tea varieties. This you can see in this Annamalai, Central Travancore, High Rain, Nilgiris, and Wayanad and Karnataka almost coming in the same eco zone. That's why I have not given separately Karnataka here. Next. My presentation is mostly focusing on how to prevent deforestation and what are all the ways and means we can preserve and present our biodiversity. Here, this one, this is the role of tea industry. Everybody knows. Here, coming to that, ecological points. This helps in rural development and conserve soil because our plant population varies from 6,000 to now people are going up to 20,000, 25,000 plants hectare. That's why there is no space left out. That's why there is no soil erosion and the degradation of soil. It conserves soil and maintains ecological equilibrium. In addition to tea, we are going other shade trees and then cover crops, all those things that I will come in my subsequent slides. This is the major role of tea industry in maintaining the soil and the ecological equilibrium. Even though we are doing some deforestation before planting tea, after that it is helping us to prevent the soil erosion and then ecological equilibrium. In view of its perennial nature, it's also serving as a very good source of to retain the soil in the tea plantations. Next. Coming to we should first know the definition for deforestation. According to Food and Agriculture Organization of United Nations, deforestation is the conversion of a forest area into other land uses. That is in broad sense for deforestation. In the meanwhile, Hosanama et al. In the year 2012 defines deforestation as the abolishment of forest cover and the changing of forest vegetation into non-forest vegetation like plantation and other crops or other land uses like buildings or for other industries like that. Next. Then causes of deforestation leads to wood or fuel or illegal and destructive logging of mining practices, land tenure and increasing population and agriculture uses. These are the main causes of deforestation. But as far as tea plantations are concerned, they are helping us in maintaining the soil system and well as the ecological equilibrium. That is the main idea of maintaining our tea plantations. Next. The direct cause of deforestation, agricultural expansion, infrastructure development such as road building and other factors, then rarely any single direct causes for deforestation. There are multiplicity of multiplicity of causes for deforestation, and wood extraction, logging or wood harvest for domestic purpose or fuel, all those things are the direct causes of deforestation. Next. We can classify deforestation into two. One is clear cutting. Here, clear cutting occurs when most or all the entire area is cleared, mainly for planting new crops like tea, coffee, or other crops. We are clearing the entire land. That is called clear cutting. Selective logging means we are cutting only the trees, but by retaining the color of the tree and other things, it will regenerate again. But the clear cutting, that is main cause for deforestation as far as plantations are concerned. Next. Then these are all the strategies to prevent deforestation and conserve the weather and environment. One planting of tea cultivars tolerant to adversities of weather like drought, waterlogging, warm and cold weather conditions. So far, as far as Upasik Tea Research Institute is concerned, we have released 33 different clones which are suitable for various environmental conditions, for quality, yield, all those things. And then 6 different graft combinations and 5 different biclonal seed stocks. These are all the cultivars we can plant depending on the soil and weather conditions. Then soil and water conservation, that is very, very important in the case of to conserve the soil. Then improvement in organic matter, green manure and cover crops. Then we have to reduce the inorganic fertilizers. That is also another cause for soil health deterioration. Then integrated pest, disease and weed management, shade trees, improving drainage, mainly it is concerned mainly for Northeast Indian plantations. Then irrigation and nature conservation, that is conservation of parasites, predators and other pathogens, and ecotourism. These are all the strategies we have to follow to conserve the soil and environment. Next. That soil management here mainly, we have to follow chopping and spreading of pruning that will help to add the organic matter content. Infilling, wherever we have vacant areas, slowly we have to take up infilling to cover this area to prevent soil erosion as well as to conserve the soil. Then compost application, our tea soils are deteriorating over the years because of the extensive use of fertilizers. For managing that, we have to slowly come out of fertilizer and add compost in addition to inorganic fertilizers to improve the soil and health of the plants. That soil and water conservation measures and establishment by vegetative barrier, we will see one by one. Next. Then this is the schematic showing the layout of fields, which almost all the states are following to conserve soil and water. Here, after clearing the land, we will take up, this is a schematic diagram. We will take boundary drain to prevent the water entry from the upper reaches to the interior, then vertical drain for conserving water, then contour drain, then lock and spillover, staggered trenches. That is very, very important. Here, each staggered trench, this is the staggered trench. Each staggered trench will hold around 200 to 250 liters of water. Per hectare, it will retain around 2.5 lakhs liters of water, which is equivalent to 1 hectare each, which will prevent drought for more than 2 months. That is the main idea of having these trenches. I think most of the states in South India are following this to maintain the soil as well as water. Next. Then studies conducted by UT, they are having a central soil conservation department. Here, runoff water and soil loss relates to canopy. Tea is having a very good coverage because of the large amount of plants per unit area. If the canopy is 90%, when the slope is 20%, your runoff is 2.5 millimeter. Whereas here the soil loss will be 224 kilos per hectare. Whereas 15%, it will be 4,622 kgs per hectare. Newly established area, it will be 20.3 millimeter. Next. Then this is the runoff water and soil loss with and without. We are, as I mentioned earlier, we are taking proper soil and water conservation measures to retain soil as well as the productive soil. Here, with and without mulch, the runoff will be 17.7 to 27%, whereas here 35 to 46% tons are there. Then with mulch and contour drain, see the soil loss will be very much minimal. This is being followed in most of the SA. That's why there is no major deterioration of soil health because of taking these trenches in new planting area in tea. Next. That this is another important thing is, earlier we are using that, stones for by having that feed boundaries. Now vetiver hedges are used. This is indigenous species. Vetiver zizanoides, which not only maintain the soil health but also retain the equilibrium. Next. Then coming to the cover crops, we have different types of cover crops. Wherever you have vacant land or marshy lands or in that areas where it's vacant, you can put Crotalaria anagrade, Crotalaria gentiana, Penicitum purpureum, Flamingo, Tripsicium laxum, Trifolium dubium, Tripsacum fasciculum. These are all the cover crops available, which will retain the soil. Since most of them are leguminous, it will give very good enrichment of soil. Next. Then these are all the green leaf manure. Green leaf manures are, the leaves should be added in the soil to enrich the soil nutrient. Liricidea, then neem, calotropis, these are all the things available. It can be used, mainly organic states, it will be very useful to enrich the soil. Next. Then green manures, here green manure, these are all the things we have to grow, like sunhemp, horse gram, wild indigo, pellispera, all those things. Yeah, green manure is a crops specially produced to be incorporated to the soil. Other one is, only the leaf we are adding. Here we have to uproot the plant and add to the soil. It will enrich the soil, increase all the nutrients like nitrogen, potash, phosphorus, everything will be increased because of the application of green manure crop. Next. Then conservation of biodiversity. This is very, very important. Our pesticide usage is very much minimal as far as South India is concerned. As I told you, organic manure we are adding. And then biocontrol agents, because of the very minimal use of pesticides, parasites, predators, and pathogens are more, which are controlling most of the pests in South India. The reduction of synthetic fertilizer also we are following, as per the norms of T-board, that is Plant Protection Code. And then most of the chemicals, only handful of chemicals are used. For almost all the chemicals, we have maximum residual limits determined by various agencies. Then shade trees and crop plants also playing a major role in conservation of biodiversity and soil health. Next. Then, as I told you earlier, because of deforestation, 4 important environmental factors are affected. One is climatic factors, that is high temperature and rainfall is coming down. Then soil health is also improved, that is edaphic factor. Physiological factor, that is, the physiological response of plant to various environmental conditions, that is because of deforestation. But see, if you follow all whatever I told you earlier, like shade planting, adding organic method, the physiological and biochemical constituents of the tea will be retained. Then biotic factors like parasites, predation, pathogens also we can maintain by proper conservation of soil and shade trees. Next. That shade, this is tea, they get 60% midday sunlight. We have a good shade tree which doesn't compete with tea plants, but will ensure proper adding around 24 to 48 tons of organic matter. That is silver oak, Revelia robusta. Next. Here we have different, at the time of planting, we are recommending around 20 by 20 spacing in mid elevation and high elevation. It will accommodate around 270 to 280 plants per hectare. Then at the time of first thinning, we are 40 to 20, that space we are doing, that is at the time of formative pruning. Then second thinning, after second pruning, that is 8 to 10 years, where, it will be around 40 by 40, around 70 trees are maintained per hectare. After that, it is not triggered. This is religiously followed in most of the estates to retain the shade to increase the organic matter as well as to reduce the temperature at the bush canopy level, which is very useful for the buildup of natural enemies like parasites and predators. Next. In addition to Grevillea robusta, we are recommending Albizia, Licana, Leucophylla, Erythrina, Indigofera, Calliandra. These Calliandra and all, they are very good leguminous plants which will enrich your soil because of it has the nitrogen fixing bacteria in the root nodules. That will be very helpful. In addition to Grevilleas, we have to go for these shade trees also. Next. Then soil conservation, which I have already infilling, compost application, spotting and spreading, extra vegetative barrier. As I told you, the indigenous species, our vetiver zizanoides is a very good vegetative barrier, which will enrich your soil from deterioration. Then soil and water conservation, which I have already dealt earlier. Next. Then if you maintain proper shade tree as well as maintain the soil equilibrium and the soil health, very easy to maintain the weather factors for better growth of the plant. These are all the weather factors which require for normal growth of the tea plant. Temperature 13 to 30 degrees centigrade, rainfall 150 centimeters is more than enough, but it should be well distributed. But if you maintain proper equilibrium in the environment, the rainfall won't be a problem. It will have a very good distribution of rainfall. Relative humidity 40 to 80% because of the shade tree. It can be done. Sunshine hours 11 hours. See, as I told you earlier, tea need only regulated shade. That's why we are recommending only heavily robusta. Then soil temperature 22 degrees centigrade. Always we can maintain if you do proper mulch as well as adding compost in the soil. This is one study conducted earlier, relative humidity and shaded and unshaded area. You could see the difference. Shaded area 9 a.m., noon and 3 p.m. versus unshaded area we have compared. See, the relative humidity in shaded area is around 78%. Here it is 58%. And then soil temperature 15.9, here 17.5. At 3 p.m. it is 62 p.m. in shaded area, here 39 p.m. 39 in unshaded area. Soil temperature here 15, 18, 19, whereas here 17, 22 and 32. This much difference we will get. That's why regulated shade is a must for better growth and sustainability of tea plantations. Next. This one organic matter content also it will increase if you do proper shade as well as water holding capacity will increase because of the addition of organic matter content. That you can very easily say in the shaded area, in unshaded area. The shaded area, the organic matter 3.6, whereas in unshaded it's only 2. At bottom soil 2.31 and 1.49. Water holding capacity is 56 and 53% in top and bottom soil, whereas here it's only 48 to 47. This is also another important factor for sustaining tea plantations by adding organic matter. Next. Then in addition to, as I told you, tuna silage is also tried in some of the states with good success. Next. Then earlier I was showing on a diametric. This is the real picture on soil and water conservation in tea fields. You could see the vertical drain, horizontal drain, staggered trenches, all those things here. This is the way we are planting in South India. Next. This is soil moisture conservation measures. As I told you, I showed in the previous picture, 0 to 9 and 9 to 18 inches, the moisture filled with the trenches will be 10.8, without trenches 15.6. With this, the difference you can see. It is having very good impact on soil and moisture conservation and maintaining soil equilibrium, as well as preventing drought from severe sunlight. Next. Then pruning, on soil health. Here 0 to 9, 9 to 18, your pH, EC, organic matter, everything shows a positive increase in the when you take a variola pruning compared to non-variola pruning. That is another important factor to increase your soil health. Then, by conclusion, it is of paramount importance to maintain the tree ecosystem without any disturbance to sustain higher yields. That is the main idea of having this seminar. And then, whatever I have told you earlier, all based on our experiments in Upasi, and then with my personal experience. And then, this is very, very in 2015 to 20, 10 million hectares of forest were converted to other land uses every year. That is an area roughly the size of Iceland. This much impact it is creating. That's why, tea plantations play a major role in conserving the soil ecosystem as well as the biological sustainability. That's why, it is not creating any major problem of soil loss and environmental loss. That's the main advantage of growing tea. Thank you.
Anika, you need to unmute.
I'm sorry. So thank you so much, sir, for sharing your experience. And I'm sure the audience must be the presentation was really detailed and we learned a lot from it. And Yeah, you're free to ask questions if you have any to Dr. Radhakrishnan. Yeah, I can see a hand raised by Mr. Sharma. Yeah, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself and ask.
First of all, I will convey my thanks to Dr. who has elaborately given his speech, you see. In his beginning of the speech, he has shown the production of the tea is 846 million kg, which should be
1,400.
you see, it should be around more than 1,200 kg Indian tea production.
Yes.
As against
No, I
world
have sent a
production.
revised one by mistake.
Yes,
He
sir.
has projected the earlier one. That's a problem. 1,000 now it has reached
Your voice
1,400
is
million.
not coming to us, you see.
Yes.
Yeah, because of the size of the PPT, it didn't reach my inbox. That's why I was requesting Mr.
But I have
Radhakrishnan.
corrected and sent you. I think it's 1,400 around now. 1,400 million kilos. Yes.
So I'll update
Next.
that in the PPT and I'll
Okay,
share that.
okay. Any other questions?
Your voice is very can be increased. Usually, regarding the Protozoa and other species in our organic tea cultivation, nowadays the residue of the PA means the pyrrolidine alkaloids is also a source of the protoluria, which we are nowadays discarding. You see, what will be your opinion? See.
But I think initial years, first 3 years after planting, you can use. After that, you have to pull it out and then you have to use it as organic matter in the soil.
So, as a rehabilitation, we can use.
Yes.
After
First 3 years only you can
for the
plant in the
rehabilitation,
new
we can
clearing.
use.
After that, you can pull it out and then use it as organic mulch.
Yeah, that is also good.
Yes.
Secondly, regarding the soil erosion in our darling gardens, the slope is more than 65 degrees also. So the soil erosion in our area is much higher than what you are expecting in the other areas. You see. So every garden has to focus on this area, how best we can prevent our soil erosion.
Yes.
This is all from my side. Thank you very much.
Yeah, mainly, for the streepy areas, the staggered trenches will be very much useful to conserve your moisture as well as the topsoil. As I told you, around 1,250 trenches per hectare you have to take. It will retain around 2.5 lakh liters of water in one rain. That will prevent your drought for more than 2 months. As well as, all your protective topsoils will be retained in the trenches. That's the main idea of this.
Thank you very much.
So we have another question coming up from Mr. Arul Durai. I think he has raised his hand. Mr. Durai, you can unmute yourself and please ask question.
Yes, Anika, thank you. Sir, thank you so much for having elaborately explained about deforestation. It's personally, I feel that it's big enlightening for us to work in the field, especially Nilgiris. Of course, I am really one with, as if I am that you're explaining our own criteria. We are in the Nilgiris. So our concern, maybe my personal concern could be how we need to understand regarding the cutting trees for our own tea industries for burning, making tea, how we need to look at this particular deforestation, cutting trees, bringing to our tea factory, how we need to justify, how we need to, say in a louder speaker, and that this is particular how we can justify cutting trees for industries.
Okay,
Please.
because, in addition to, some of the gardens, they are having fuel plantations. That is also wherever, you have frost or, unproductive land, those areas they are cultivating fuel trees, and then they are using it for, they are using in the factory. I think we should have fuel plantations also in addition to that is also, religiously followed in some of the estates. Then, another thing that useful life of our grevillea trees is 30 to 40 years. After that, before, removing that, you have to plant one line of shade tree in between the 20-20 spacing, and then you can remove that also, you can use for your factory use. Once in 30 years, the cycle will come.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. So we have another question coming up from Mr. Dev Raj. Sir, you're free to mute yourself. Please ask question.
Thank you, Anika. It's for a general question. When listening to Dr. Radhakrishnan, one gets an idea that tea itself is a forest crop.
Yes.
And why is it not recognized as forest crop? Why are we looking at conservation? Planters are conserving tea gardens to the best of their ability, and nothing is done to destroy this.
Yes.
So I think this is something which we as the industry should push, because we are not recognized as a forest forest group at all.
Yes.
Dr. Radhakrishnan describes so in elaborate terms about conservation of soil, conservation of moisture, or lowering the temperature. All those things are being done by the forest itself. In fact, in the Northeast, we are having more and more issue regarding the natural forests, because they are now dwindling because of the pressure of population, pressure of timber, and tea gardens are actually holding the
Yes.
Northeast soils and Northeast forest calamities.
Yes.
Thank you.
No, as I told you in the beginning, this is that environmental impact, because of deforestation by cultivating tea is very much minimal. That's the main point of discussion here.
Thank you, Dr. Radhakrishnan. I think there are one or two more questions, but unfortunately, we'll have to
Thank
move
you.
ahead because and
Yes.
hear from the other speakers. Devajit,
Thank you.
you can please type in your question or email us. We'll make sure that we get the answer to you.
Okay.
Sorry, we
Mr.
cannot in the context.
Yeah.
Mr. Anika, please correct that slides, and then I have sent a new one that you sent to everybody. That is a corrected version.
Yeah, so I'll connect
Okay.
with you separately to get that actually,
Okay.
sir. Okay.
Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
so much. Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, sir. It was really wonderful having you. Wherein we move on to our next speaker. So as you all know, our second speaker is Mr. Daliram Gulia, who is a procurement lead, sustainability South Asia, Hindustan Unilever Limited, and he is responsible for driving and managing the conversion of the South Asia supplier base of mainly tea, coffee, and ingredient crops to sustainable compliant production in line with Unilever Compass commitment of 100% sustainable sourcing and NDPA compliant. He is an agricultural economist by qualification and is working for Unilever since last 30 years. Mr. Gulia has a wide agribusiness background. He has also gained experience in procurement of food ingredients, supplier compliance, impact program, regenerative agriculture, ESG, supplier development, cross-border logistics, agri-inputs, marketing, factory operations, and so on. So in short, he is securing competitive advantage for Unilever through strategic partnerships and unlocking value chains. He enjoys working in a fast-paced, challenging, and competitive environment. So let's hear from Mr. Gulia, who is multitasking and likes to work to his full capacity and potential. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Anika. Good morning to everybody. So I'll be talking about the significance of sourcing from deforestation-free sources. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah,
Yes, we can hear you now. Now you are clear.
Yeah, so maybe I will put off my video. And can you just put up the slides, please?
Yeah, I'll do that. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it's visible. Yeah. So as I mentioned, I'll be talking about Unilever tea supply chain de-risking in tea, and especially the tea NDP, why it's so important. And Unilever has been working in this space through sustainable sourcing agenda for more than 10 years, with the deforestation commitment announced in mid-2020 in specific area of improving the health of planet, the health of the people, and increasing the contribution to a fairer, more inclusive world. Now, the focus of what I will talk today is basically on the space of improving the health of the planet, protecting and regenerating nature through 100% sourcing from deforestation-free supply chain in 5 key crops by 2023. Now, this was a commitment which was launched by Unilever in May 2020. Now, this is in continuation of our sustainable sourcing of our key agriculture crops as per our Unilever Sustainable Living Plan agenda, which was launched in November 2010. Now, we are working within our business and with the external partners to ensure a deforestation-free supply chain. Can you go to the next slide, please? We are working with our business and with external partners to ensure a deforestation-free supply chain that we support human rights and tackle climate change. We all should work towards a deforestation-free supply chain, and this is an agenda which requires greater attention. Now, as you know, forests are essential to life, and they are the lungs of our planet. They help us to regulate our climate. They are second only to basically the ocean as the largest global store of carbon, as well as being home to up to 80% of land-based wildlife, and more than 1 billion people depend on forests for their livelihood. When forests are cleared, burned, or degraded, they leave soil exposed, increased erosion, and the risk of landslides. We are working to end deforestation within our supply chain, as this is one of the biggest contributions Unilever can make to create a more sustainable world and maintain consumer trust in our products. Now, we have chosen 5 key commodity crops supply chains because they contribute more than 65% of Unilever total impact on land and agriculture footprint of 3 million hectares, and are the crops that are more often linked to deforestation and conversion of natural ecosystem to farmland. Now, you must have read that Assam, for example, in last 2 decades has lost more than 200,000 hectares, which is more than 10% of its forest cover because of various reasons. Now, in tea, we don't know how big is the problem, and it's work in progress. Now, in the next slide, which is basically NDP commitment. Now, first, let me tell you what is NDP. Now, NDP is no deforestation or conversion, no development on peat, and no exploitation of people and communities. Now, I'll be talking a bit on a few lines on peatland. Now, peatlands are wetlands with a thick layer of organic soil, low-lying areas with semi-decayed plant material accumulating for several years and under waterlogged condition. Now, peatland is not an issue in tea area, as waterlogging is not an ideal condition for growing tea. Now, going to my next slide. Yeah. Now here, we have committed that we will source 100% of our tea from deforestation-free factories by 2023. All tea we purchase must be verifiably unrelated to deforestation, and this is journey which we will take together with you to support and to achieve this. Now, the NDP policy is basically having 4 principles. One is to protect natural ecosystems from conversion, increase transparency and traceability of our supply chain, respect and promote human rights, and being a force for good for people and planet. Now, on the next slide, which basically I talk about risk overview, right? Now, Unilever is working with satellite data specialists to detect tea crops and changes in the forest cover using satellite data. Now, this was done over both North and South India tea crop areas and used to rate the risk associated with the individual tea factories. Now, I will talk over the method and how the risk has been allocated and what we need to do to reduce that risk and how we can achieve that in the next slide. Now, my next slide talks about tea and the forest loss identification. Now, as you know, satellites take pictures of the entire Earth every day. Now, certain countries in Europe and America both deliver data sets over the whole world. Now, through machine learning algorithms, we can identify crops and change for each pixel. Now, we have basically optical and radar satellites used to detect tea plantation and change in forest cover. And we have analyzed the tea factories of North and South India to actually see where the risk lies. Now, in the next slide, which is basically about tea risk assessment. Now, this is an important one. Now, with our global partner, we have converted the tea factories' addresses, pin codes to location data, right? And the factory sourcing area was estimated using the global data sets on road networks, by which we estimated how far vehicles can travel in certain time, example, 1 hour isochron or 1.5 hour isochron. And this gives an idea how far a factory could source green leaf from. Now, what we have done is we have overlaid all these layers using geographical software, allowing us to actually identify overlaps of sourcing area, detected deforestation, and of course, overall detected deforestation and detected deforestation in tea. Now, for each factory we are sourcing from in last couple of years, what we have done is we have extracted the total land sourcing area, the deforestation in the sourcing area, what you see on the bottom of the picture in the slide. And on the right side, you see the tea plantations. And then the bottom right is basically deforestation and tea. Now, therefore, from the overlay between the tea plantation and deforestation statistics are retrieved for each factory from the sourcing area. Now, on the next slide, I'm going to talk about how do we basically reduce the risk, right? Now, we require each factory which is supplying to us to show us from which tea farms they buy green leaf, either directly or through agents, so that the factory can prove that it does not source green leaf from any farm which is growing tea on a deforested land. Now, we need to know where these plots are, compare them with the detected deforestation area that I covered in my last slide, which we have that information tea factory wise. That way, we know the factory sources green leaf only from deforestation free tea farms, and we can move forward together to build a better and
Just go back, Anika, your slide moved ahead.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, this is only possible through a transparent supply chain, where basically we are going to work with you on this journey, where you have support from us, like you have been working with us in sustainable sourcing. So first thing is you have to be either Trustee or Rainforest Alliance certified. And if some reason, if that's not possible, then we have an interim solution to roll out the Tracee, where you log the small tea grower data, tea farm data on the Tracee app, and map your smallholder tea farms to prove the origin, right? So this is what we are going to do, and this is going to be done for 100% of your small tea growers supplying green leaf to the factory. Yeah. And on the next slide, let me summarize what basically we are trying to do here. So additional elements for the verification audit for suppliers establishing a no deforestation claim at origin. So traceability to origin, collection and validation of the traceability data. Now, systems for land monitoring, monitoring of deforestation, and establishment of a verified deforestation claim is something which we are looking at. Now, this will be basically verified by control union, which will do a verification audit, which may not be more than half a day or a day, because this will look at your the data which you feed in the Tracee app, and then of course our global partner tells us which are the tea farms which actually are at risk, and then control union verifies your paper trail traceability. Now, to meet this commitment of sourcing 100% from deforestation-free sources, we will ensure sourcing of tea from Trustee or Rainforest Alliance certified sources, and this will help us to trace the tea sourced from the factory to the plantation and to the land and the farms where it was produced and sourced. Now, to determine this, we have a cutoff date, and the cutoff date is 31st December 2015, right? And the current, all the non-certified tea factories are in progress of either going for Trustee or are implementing Tracee, feeding the information. Our focus currently is on not the low-risk factories, but also the factory falling in the medium to very high risk. Verification audit of the tea factories will be done by a third-party audit body, control union, to basically look at the paper trail traceability. And then, of course, as I mentioned, the cutoff date is 31st December 2015. So whatever has happened before 2015 is out of scope, because that's where we have all the data where we can objectively define this. And of course, in the end, I would only urge you that ensure that your tea factory is verified as a deforestation-free source. Now that's in brief. Thank you very much. Any questions, please?
The floor is open for any questions for Mr. Gulia. We thank him for this very clear presentation.
So we have, I think, a hand raised from Mr. Devraj.
Thank you, Anika. My question to Mr. Gulia is, if the largest buyer of tea starts paying a premium to the factory certified, this program will get greater momentum. Thank you.
Point noted, Mr. Devraj.
So we move to, I think we have another question coming from Devjit. Maybe would you like to ask question, Mr. Devjit? No worries. You can put your question in the chat box and we are happy to answer that. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for taking us through a very crisp presentation. Basically Unilever's commitment towards prevention of deforestation and how, Unilever's bold commitment, in fact, to protect the nature. Thank you so much for this presentation. And it was lovely having you here. Yeah. So we move on to our next speaker, who is Dr. T.V. Manjunatha, who is IFS Tamil Nadu Tea Plantation. He is an additional principal chief conservator of forest and managing director, Tamil Nadu Tea Plantation Corporation, Kunnur. His area of expertise are forest protection, wildlife management, biodiversity conservation, soil and water conservation, eco-awareness creations, etc. He served as an active member in several government committees constituted to make valid changes for technical planning activities, forest protection, evaluations, staff welfares, etc. During his work, he has managed to add several hundred hectares of non-forest land to the forest as per law. So not only that, he has been also instrumental in retrieving and reviving several water bodies and wetlands inside the forest and in adjoining areas which help in conservation of wetland ecosystem. Let's hear from someone who has taken several measures to prevent forest and wildlife offenses. Over to you, sir.
In the picture, this one. Okay, share screen. Good morning, namaskar, vanakkam. Hope I am audible to all of you.
Yes, sir. So kindly put this presentation in the presentation mode.
Yeah, just a minute.
Yeah.
Is it okay now?
I think it's taking some time. Is it okay for everyone? Not really, sir.
It is showing as full screen in my screen.
Probably there's a bit of lag, sir. Maybe we go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. If you have my slides, you can share it, Miss Anika.
Yeah, I have them. So would you want me to share?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
I'll close it.
I think you all can see my screen.
Yeah, we can. It's on a different mode. So let's go to full screen.
I think there is some lag because again is showing the same. I'll just stop share. Just a second. I'll share this. Can you all see now?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Once again, vanakkam, namaskar to everybody. I heard my previous speakers, very enlightening, a lot of information. And I'm not able to see my own image. I'd like to see, excuse me.
Yes, sir. So probably you.
Okay, it's okay, fine. I'll proceed. There is some time lag, it seems. Thanks for a nice introduction, Ms. Anika, and I again thank Trustee for giving me this opportunity to share my experiences with all the tree growers in India. Right now, I'm also a tea grower. I'm managing an area of about 10,000 acres of tea plantations with 7 factories, having 4,000 workers with me on deputation to a tea corporation in Tamil Nadu, in Nilgiris. I heard the previous speakers, as I said, whether we like it or not, we cannot choose our neighbors, but we are neighbors.
South India, South India, South India.
Uh,
South India,
requesting Mr. Yeah, sir. You can proceed.
I said we are inevitable neighbors because I come from forest department, and all the tea plantations are invariably adjoining the forest areas. Either they are developed after cutting the forest, or they are existing adjoining to the forest area. Now, this topic is very apt for today's scenario, since we are facing a lot of changes in the climate, rainfall pattern, the summer extremities, spread of diseases and pests, epidemics, endemics, all leading to our own deeds and misdeeds from our forefathers. I would like to dwell upon certain points wherein first we have to understand what is a forest. Next one, please. Next one. It is not just, next one. It is not just a piece of land where some trees are there, some animals are there. It is actually a living system. We cannot create a forest even if we raise some plantations, afforestation activities, including the forest department. Wherever we have raised our plantations, they just give us a patch of land where some vegetation is created, but that is not forest. Forest really means, in its true sense, is a living system wherein wild, undomesticated flora and fauna, they have their own interactions. Both cannot live independently. They have an inseparable relationship without which both will die. If you remove the flora from faunal interaction, the flora will die. And if you remove the fauna from the floral interactions, the fauna will die. And among the flora also, they have certain interactions, both at edaphic level and also at the canopy level. So all these things put together make a forest, which we have inherited, which is a result of billions of years of evolution, and the climatic situation and the edaphic factors have decided what kind of forest and what kind of flora and fauna should remain in a particular patch of geographical location. So having this background, how you and me have contributed for deforestation for so long and how it can be prevented, I'll just dwell upon certain points, which are doable things I'll be sharing with you. Next one is, I'm just showing a slide where it is patch of forest area having flora. Next one. Again, various ecosystems, all these put together in their own locations constitute forest. Next one. You have the diversity in species present in various ecosystems according to agroclimatic geographical locations. Next one. You see here the interaction between the species, both flora and fauna. This association can never be established artificially. They have to have an understanding of the availability of food or some kind of help from each other. Only then a forest can survive. Because as I said earlier, forest is a living species, a living ecosystem, which has growth, which has birth, which has growth, development, and also death. There is a regeneration, there is recoupment, there is also a death in all these activities, in all these systems. So you cannot create it all of a sudden in 5 years or 10 years. Maybe physically we may create some plantations, maybe some afforestation patches, but whether we have these plantations having interactions with the bees, butterflies, and birds of locality or not. If they are not used by these birds, bees, and butterflies, then your plantation is out of place or your species is out of place. Next one, please. Again, flora and fauna interaction. Next one. All these indicate how they live together. Next one. Next one. I hope you are enjoying the pictures.
Yes.
Then how these forests help us, I need not dwell much upon it because all of us are experiencing firsthand being so close to the forest areas, being tea planters and coffee planters. Water is the main source from the forest. Thanks to the scientists, so far there is no research or no invention of artificial water. Till that time, we have to depend on forest. At least for water's sake, we have to protect the forests. Here, of course, all of us know genetic repository. All of us, please keep in mind, all of us came from forests. You and me, all the animals, all the food plants, crop plants, they came from the forests. So this genetic wild repository is there in the forest. If we lose forest, there is no backup, there is no fixed deposit available for us, even if you want to fall back on developing new species or new hybrids or new varieties. Biodiversity, as my previous speakers dwelled upon it, I don't want to speak much on this. Pests and disease control is the most important thing. Out of 80,000 insects that are already documented, more than 60 to 70% of them are controlled biologically by various natural agents, birds, mammals, reptiles, amphibians. But these are invariably present in the forest area. If you remove all these things, then there is an imbalance created between the prey and the predator. The pest population will increase, and the immediate vicinity adjoining the forest area is our plantations, agricultural land, and all the horticultural lands. They will be devastated. Hence, for our own survival, we need to keep all these forest areas intact. Then again, natural calamities, as I said, one of them, as spoken by Dr. Radhakrishnan from Valpara area, our own place, he clearly specified about the soil loss. We cannot afford to lose soil, which has been a product of thousands and hundreds and lakhs of years of evolution and formation. So losing them just by our negligence and arrogance or ignorance is not worth taking a risk. Then food, medicines, and mines are also part of the forest that are available to us. Next one. Water, I said, forest is the only place where water is generated. You take any kind of river system anywhere in the country or anywhere in the world, they have to invariably originate from a wilderness area. You may call it as wilderness area or a forest area or a Himalaya or any kind of glaciers. But wilderness has to be kept intact to have our life-saving water. Next one. I'll show you some of the pictures where you have wildlife movement in the tea gardens in Nilgiris and other places. You can see here in the broad daylight, elephants are using these tea gardens, which we think that we have created a garden, but for them, in their memory, it is still a migratory route. It is still a path where they take up their regular activities. And earlier times, so much of human interaction and conflict situations were not experienced because by 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the plantation garden areas and in plantation areas, people used to go to sleep. But because of the internet, because of the development, because of the lighting system, and because of the conveyance that is available nowadays, 24/7 people's movement is seen even in the remotest plantation areas. So these animals, which they were using these areas for their nighttime activities like migration from crossing over from one patch of forest to another patch of forest, which is an invariable activity that they cannot escape because of these long-ranging animals. They cannot be kept confined to a single place for a longer time, otherwise it leads to habitat destruction. So interactions happen, and it will be sometimes negative also. You can see bisons and leopards also in the tea gardens. Reasons for deforestation, next one, please. All of us know overexploitation, developmental works, lack of awareness and empathy towards other life forms, encroachments, pollution, priorities. We don't have any priorities in our developmental activities towards the natural ecosystem conservation. All of us have developed our own gardens, factories, marketing system. We have established empires. Of late, little bit of orientation is there towards natural resources conservation, but it's not proportionate to what it actually deserves. Now, people think that it is the duty of only the forest department, which is a huge department spread across the country, to take care of the protection and conservation of forest resources. No, it cannot happen. It is everybody's responsibility to see how the forests are conserved, how the deforestation is prevented. In one of the slides in Dr. Radhakrishnan's presentation, I saw about in just a matter of 5 years, 10 million hectares of forest land has been converted into non-forest uses. Need not be a plantation of tea or coffee, maybe for other purposes. Can we avoid these things? Because as I said earlier, forest once lost is lost forever. Then how can we do it? The first speaker, Dr. Rajesh, also said that they have created some plantations, they have some GIS and the GPS IT recordings about how the greenery has been established. It's only greenery, but not the forest. Okay. How we can increase the existing forest area, or at least protect the existing forest area, is the most important thing that we all of us should look into. I will be giving you certain direct, doable suggestions as to how you and me can contribute for further deforestation of forest. Next one. These are all indications of how we are losing the animals are lost because of plantation activities where illegal, unscientific electric fences are put. You can see how the pristine evergreen forests have been cut. The fragmentation has taken place, how grazing is affecting our forests, losing their species structure, how these big projects are coming in wilderness areas. Mind you, all these canals, dams, and water bodies cannot be constructed in Connaught Place in Delhi, or in Howrah Bridge in Kolkata, or the MG Road in Bangalore, or Anna Salai in Chennai. So they have to be constructed inside the forest by cutting thousands and thousands of trees, making all these animals displaced from their own homes without even asking for their consent. Because I personally feel that we are throwing them out without even listening to them, since they do not have a voting power. If you give a voting power to these animals, and I am sure that these politicians, these bureaucrats, and all the decision-making bodies will definitely give a ear about their liking or not liking of any developmental activity coming to a particular patch of land. So how you and I can contribute? Say what? This is in your hands. You can do it right now, immediately, and it is very effective. How saving water is going to help further deforestation? Just an example I'll give you. We waste so much of water during brushing our teeth, shaving, taking bath, washing utensils, washing clothes. All these avoidable water wastages can be stopped immediately. We further prevent the decision makers or the policy makers or the politicians or the state or central governments for going for further new construction of dams, canals, and other water bodies, which definitely cause a very irreversible deforestation. saving food. I am told, I have data with me that at least 30% of the ready-to-eat food is wasted by all of us, you and me. 30% of the ready-to-eat food. Do you know, if you Google and just verify virtual water, you will come to know for 1 kg of rice, it is about 3,500 to 4,000 liters of water is required. And how much of rice we waste? I'm just giving a small example, it is tip of the iceberg. So if you calculate all these things, the wastage itself is so much. Similarly, if I see the previous slide speakers mentioning about the quantum of tea production, we are only focusing about the tea production side. Production side is increasing, but we are not focusing on the wastage side. If you reduce the wastage, it is as good as produced. So please reduce, because every kg of tea, every kg of rice will cost on the water, whether it is the surface water or subsurface water. And all this water has to invariably come from the forest areas and also the wilderness areas. Reducing the pollution, please, you know how much pollution we have created ourselves in and around in our daily lives. Wherever you are, even though you are away from the forest area, your pollution created in the urban areas will definitely impact the wilderness in one or the other way. Please educate the children. See that.
I think there is some noise background. If we can ask. Yeah, it's better now.
Sir, you are unmuted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Manjunath, we can start again. Yeah, nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
You have to educate our children. We have to catch them young. Start educating at the parental level, then school level. Then this beginning will definitely take them to different levels of understanding in conserving flora and fauna, developing empathy towards other life forms. Then accommodative development activities should be done. Like I'll show some of the slides where we can have development, also having certain provisions for movement of animals, saving the forest. And as I said, whatever water you and me, we are getting so easily. We are a lucky group where we can afford to buy even the water. Look at these people where they have to walk miles and miles to get this kind of water for their livelihood. Next one. This is the kind of collection that we make in Kodaikanal. This is just 3 days bottles collected at the entrance gate by the forest department whenever they enter into the Kodaikanal forest area. Next one. I have absolutely no complaints against the rural mass because their contribution towards pollution is very less. Go to the previous slide, please. Look at this. These people, so-called urbanites, educated, well-off, coming in cars and throwing their garbage into she is standing on the bridge, throwing it into the water body. This is the kind of ignorance or arrogance. I don't know what word I should use. Maybe all of us might have indulged in such kind of activities in one or the other way. If not, I'm sorry, I'm not generalizing it, but some of us definitely would have done this. Please stop this, because it will carry a lot of impact on the soil, the local flora and fauna, and also the larger mammals. Next one. These are all accommodative developmental works which we have already implemented in India. Next one. Even the canals where we can provide certain areas without concretization on either side, wherein even if animals fall by mistake, they'll have a chance to get out of it. Otherwise, we have seen many elephants falling into such canals, not able to climb up and dying there itself. Next one. Next one, please. So I always feel that we should come back to our need-based life like the wild animals do. If the greed-based activities happen in whatever field we are, then the deforestation is very imminent. Next one. Animals definitely use all the resources for their need. They don't have any excessive consumption of water or food or even the roads. They also have emotions. Next one. Next one. So this is my final slide. This is my favorite slide too. When animals can accommodate between the species, then so-called developed species like Homo sapiens, why can't we accommodate other life forms? Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm done.
Thank you so much, sir. In the paucity of time, we'll take the questions later. I would request all the audience, we have a very interesting speaker coming up. So if you can spare 15 minutes, just 15, there's a spillover of 15 minutes. So I request the audience to listen to a very interesting speaker who is coming up, who is prestigious winner of prestigious FICCI Young Business Leader Award. So I'd like to welcome Mr. Swapan Mehra, who is a founder and CEO of IORA and the World Economic Forum Young Global Leader 2020. So I'll not take so much of time in basically taking through him. I'm handing over the floor to him, and sir, floor is all yours. I'm so sorry for a little bit of delays. Please, floor is all yours.
No problem at all. I was enjoying the very interesting presentation by Mr. Manjunath. So thank you very much. I will just, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
Perfect, great. So thank you very much. As Anika mentioned, my name is Swapan Mehra. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called IORA Ecological Solutions. So IORA Ecological Solutions, founded in 2009, is one of the leaders, pioneers in India, and we in the areas of forest and climate change. Our multidisciplinary team has been working on developing various projects related to the areas of reducing climate vulnerability, forest conservation, land restoration, and then raising resources for these from a policy finance lens as well as from a private sector finance lens. We have implemented about 158 projects in the last 10 years in these areas, and we've implemented projects across the length and breadth of the country on all states and all union territories. We have a team of 45 members headquartered in Delhi, but with offices across 7 states in India. As Anika mentioned, we have over the years also contributed to the global process of recognizing the contribution of nature conservation and nature-based solutions towards climate action. We've sat on the advisory boards of UN RED, UN Office for RED Coordination, the IUCN Biodiversity Offset Strategy Working Group, the Oslo RED Exchange, so on and so forth. These are the kind of activities that we do. We help in working plan and management plan preparation in the forest and land sector, building partnerships for investing in the forest and land sector, policy advisory, and then financing. Our activities span over 9 million hectares now across the length and breadth of the country and counting. I mean, this is closer to 10 million now. In terms of carbon and in the areas of carbon credits, which is relevant to what I'm presenting today, we have demonstrated expertise. We are the only company in India which has developed a methodology to get carbon credits from the forest sector for India, which is approved by VERA, the international standards, and we've developed 15 such projects already in India. We've also contributed on the policy front. The Government of India, Ministry of Environment and Forest, had empaneled us, and we developed a roadmap for their NDC Goal 5 on the land sector. And now we are helping them develop a roadmap for the 2070 net zero goal for the forest and land sector as well. These are some of the clients that we work with across both corporates, international institutions. We've had partnerships with leading academic groups, including Cambridge University, Michigan State, on developing new algorithms for mapping trees, which we apply to then implementation of projects on ground. So now there are 2 dimensions that I wanted to cover here, which are pertinent to the tea sector. And of course, would love to get feedback from all the sectoral experts who are present on this webinar. First is important to note that the land sector, especially in land, the production landscapes, have 2 interfaces with climate change, which is a very important note. The first interface is that the land sector, managing the land sector, managing production landscapes contributes to emissions of CO2, resulting from use of fertilizer, resulting from tilling of land, resulting from use of livestock, resulting from burning of residue, so on and so forth. In fact, the management of land sector contributes about 23% of global emissions as of now. In India, this is close to about 16%. In addition to management of the land sector, this transition curve also represents that naturally managed land, which is forests, once degraded, and if you look at these red lines, once it crosses the red line, it's called deforested, also contributes to emissions, because the carbon stock that was situated within the tree cover of a forest is now gone. And once the forest goes below this definition of forest land, then it does not, or it loses its current capacity to sequester the amount of carbon it can, which is released in the atmosphere. Of course, the good news is that even deforested and devegetated lands can be regenerated, can be reinforced, and then their capacity to sequester increases. So hence, there are these two interesting interfaces that from an emissions standpoint that the land management sector has. One is ancillary emissions from its management, and then the second is causal emissions resulting from deforestation degradation that land management leads to. If when you cultivate tea or any other crop which replaces natural forest, this is the consequence. I just wanted to show you a little bit of work that we did. Actually, we've done two projects in the tea sector. In one of these projects, we worked with about 5 tea estates in Assam to assess their current land use cover and to look at sequestration capabilities and capacity there. And in the other, we looked at climate vulnerability of tea estates and emissions from ancillary operations. This is just a land use land cover map, which actually shows that how in Arun tea estate in Sonitpur in Assam, the capacity to sequester was initially going down. But if you look at these brown lines, these are tree plantations. Even though the shade tree crop went down, the overall tree plantations went up and the overall carbon capacity increased. So this shows this kind of curve where managing land use dynamics, you can reduce but also increase the carbon stocks inherent within any managed landscape. Increasing tree carbon stock also has an added advantage that it reduces pressure on neighboring vegetation, be it for fuel wood, be it for any other such consequence, and it provides ecosystem services such as better water, better biodiversity for the cropping system, for tea or any other cropping system that we consider. Now, what's interesting in the current paradigm of where we are is that these practices related to either reducing pressure and avoiding deforestation or enhancing tree stock and enhancing forests within your catchments can be incentivized by carbon credits, by forest carbon credits, through what we call the RED plus paradigm, in which all of these activities, reducing emission from deforestation, from degradation, conservation, sustainable management, and afforestation for enhancement are all eligible for additional financing, be it on your tea estate or be it surrounding your tea estate. And this additional financing comes with so many benefits because it brings higher biomass stock, better biodiversity, better water, so on and so forth. The reason why this has become important is that in the last 2 or 3 years, some of the largest corporates in the world have taken on these major net zero targets to reduce their emissions to zero in the next 20 to 30 years. And they all know that about half of their targets will come from emissions. From carbon credits. They cannot in-house reduce all their emissions, so they'll buy offsets. There is criticism of that. We can discuss it later in Q&A, but there is an opportunity. It's also assumed that 40% of this entire market will come from nature or tree-based carbon credit systems. So this opportunity is big. At the moment, the carbon prices are in the $8 to $10 range, but they're expected to cross $40 to $50 ranges in the next 5 years. And at the moment, the number of projects is less. So there is an opportunity to significantly supply to this global demand while using this to reduce pressure on the forest and enhancing green cover in your tea estates and areas surrounding you. This is my very quick take at what are the potential kind of activities that your community can engage in, which can benefit from carbon credits, but also contribute to a zero net, what I would say, zero net deforestation tea industry in India. I think if we move towards that direction, and if we take some sort of a resolution in that direction, this additional resources can be galvanized to support that. So eliminate and reduce any further deforestation in one such activity. If you own land in which there is a potential to go and deforest and do plantations, but if you avoid that, you can be incentivized for that. Even enhancing the shade tree coverage is eligible to get carbon financing because you're increasing your carbon stocks. Restoring degraded lands by plantations and maintaining high conservation forests, which are in the fringes of where you operate, are all eligible activities that can be considered. I'm actually going to stop there. I wanted to keep the presentation really brief so that there is an opportunity for discussion and question and answers. Very, very happy to respond, very happy to be in touch with all of you to work forward towards a net zero, net deforestation tea sector in India. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing such a brief presentation. It is really nice to hear from you on the various aspects. So because we have already spilled over 7 minutes, if anyone has any question, can email me personally to akumari@trustee.org, which I put it in the chat box, and you can email your questions to me. I will be happy to get it from the speakers, or you would like to get it from any speaker, I'll be happy to get that. But before we close today, I would like to record this session in terms of, I request every one of you to turn on the camera so that we can capture this moment, and we can document it as in a webinar on prevention of deforestation. Whoever is comfortable, requesting you to kindly turn on your camera and give us few moments. I think we should be done in another moment. Okay, thank you so much. As we close, I, on behalf of Trustee Foundation, would like to extend a very heartfelt thanks to all the speakers for sharing your valued opinion and experience here today with us. And I also take this opportunity to extend our most sincere thanks to all our invitees, who we appreciate your presence. And most importantly, I would also like to thank the Trustee team for supporting us. I look forward to engaging with you all after today. Thank you and wish you all a great day. Thank you so much. The recording of the webinar will be uploaded on our website.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you, everyone.
you.
लग रहा है ना क्या मजा आता है